Ludicrous feed is proudly sponsored by Carloop Data, Koba Car Insurance, and Wallbox EV Chargers. Morning everyone, and today we're going to take you for a morning drive after work in my BYD Seal Premium here in Sydney, Australia. And the first thing I always do before I go for a drive is to make sure that the ADAS is basically set to my liking. So you see I just swipe down there and I set my shortcuts up already so that DAW is there. That's the quickest way to get to this stuff here, which is the driver assist. I always turn off the emergency lane keeping assist. You have to do it every time because it doesn't retain the settings currently. And vibration is the best compromise I found so far for lane departure assist. Otherwise it just retains the default settings. And then traffic sign recognition, I always turn off ISLI. Unfortunately, if you turn it off, it does revert back to on next time you drive. So that's the only unfortunate thing. I spend about 10 seconds each morning or every time I drive to get rid of those settings. Okay, let's go back to Apple Carplay. Just go back to that button there and away we go. And shift down to drive like so. And here we are. And the cameras come on. Nice view there. And I always have Apple CarPlay on, to be honest with you. I have Spotify on via Apple CarPlay, and also Waze, which is my favorite navigation system. Even though if I'm not navigating, I still have it on because it's got all the hazards around, of course. And if I use Apple CarPlay, I'm using my own phone's data plan rather than using the car's data plan, which is 500 megabytes for the first month, followed by 2 gigabytes every month for the first year. And thereafter, we don't know what the allocation is from BYD, so we shall see what they give us after 2 years, if I hang on to this car for 2 years, of course, which so far so good. I'm actually enjoying this car very much. I bought this car pretty much, you know, kind of as an experiment or just curiosity to be to compare it against my Teslas that I've owned in the past. But honestly, you know, I've enjoyed it more than I thought I would. As you can see right now, it's a very comfortable ride. The suspension level is to my liking. I'm actually enjoying the instrument cluster screen in front of me here. It's nice to be able to see the speedometer just behind my steering wheel here. Having the head-up display is fantastic. And it's been a month since delivery date, so literally a month and a day. I took it on the 30th of December 2023. Today is the 31st of January 2024, so it's been a month. The odometer says 815 kilometers, and if I just cycle up the past 50 kilometers, I've driven it at 15.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and it cycles somewhere between 14 and 16. If I'm sitting in the car for a long time demonstrating on YouTube, sometimes it goes up to 17 or 18, but around that 15 to 16 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Here in where I live, it's quite a hilly area, as you can see, so some of that might be the cause of that. If you live in a flattish area, then that might be more like 14 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I haven't taken it for a long drive just yet. I've been quite busy during the school holidays. So I think now that the kids are back at school, I might be able to do a longer drive. And I'll try and do a day trip somewhere where I don't need to charge. So let's face it, charging is not always the most pleasant experience. Unfortunately, in Australia yet, we don't have that many ground-up EV stations yet. They're kind of usually tacked onto the side of a petrol station or a highway or somewhere that's, you know, not always the best location. So I don't particularly enjoy charging too much at a non-Tesla DC fast charger most of the time. So if I can help it, I won't charge publicly if I can, do most of my charging at night. And speaking of which, I have just put the finishing touches on my home charging video, so just waiting for our sponsor, Wallbox, to give us the all clear, and then we can publish that very soon, hopefully. Hopefully in time for the Electrify Everything. No, is that right? That's the name of the show. The Fully Charged live show in Sydney, Electrify Everything, which I'll be on a panel, 3 panels actually, during Saturday. So if you're watching this video before then, make sure you come along and come and watch us on stage. But yeah, so that's home charging. I've done 1 DC fast charging video, as you've seen. It's not too bad, fairly quick up to sort of 70, 80%. And then from 80 to 100%, it's slow again. And that's explained by one of our viewers who said that yes, it's very much like the electrons trying to find a seat in the theater. Lots of seats at the beginning, but then as the theater gets more crowded, the electrons have trouble finding a spare seat. So I think that's probably the best way to explain why charging speeds taper off for all EVs towards the end of a charging session, especially that 80% to 100%. It seems to be quite a universal experience no matter what EV I've driven so far. I've also become accustomed to the sport mode here on the BYD Seal Premium I've got here. I did drive on sort of normal mode for a while, but man, the sport mode is something else. It's a lot of fun. It's only 0 to 100 in 5.9 seconds, I think, but that's, I don't know, it just feels much zippier when I'm on the performance mode or sport mode. And you can cycle it through the modes down here, the buttons here. You can probably can't see, but you can go between eco, sport, and normal mode. I don't enjoy driving it on eco. I find it a bit too slow for me, not responsive enough, and the steering's not responsive enough, which you can also change, by the way, too. I've got it on just normal steering, but I find eco, the air conditioning, I don't know. I bought this car to enjoy it. I don't want to compromise too much more. Speaking of air conditioning, I have it normally on, I'll just swipe up here, on 24 degrees. That for me is kind of the equivalent of 21 degrees in the Tesla Model 3 and Y, and even my S, which I've driven. I find 21 in this car too cold. So 24 is just right for me. And we're kind of in the middle of summer right now, arguably towards the tail end, but 24 degrees Celsius is what I currently have it on. And then you can go to the settings from here. And I have it on split so that it's dual, so that driver and front passenger is different. I have it on swing or free. Usually swing is fine. If I push smart air, then both cabins are swinging away and doing their own thing. Whereas I only want my side really to be swing. You can actually turn this off too on that passenger side. So there we go. So that's only aircon on my side. Otherwise, it can get quite cold. So to go back to Apple Carplay, just press that button. That back button's very handy. Just put my sunnies on, combat the glare. Speaking of tinting, the glass roof, as I've spoken before in the past, is silver coated. Now, I apologize, I did take down one of the videos I did comparing the temperature of the glass roof. I will redo that video because I didn't take into account the glass emissivity and also the reflectivity and radiance of the glass using my IR thermometer. So I will try to standardize that and control that variable by putting a bit of duct tape onto the glass roof. And then we'll try to compare the ambient temperature of the cabin as well and make it relevant by putting an object at my height, my driver's head height. That way you can sort of see what it's like at sort of head height with the air conditioning vent blowing towards me when it's a hot day. So the next hot day in Sydney, I will do that test and maybe compare it to the Tesla Model Y again to see the effectiveness of the silver coated glass roof ahead of me, on top of me. I can tell you subjectively already, it's much cooler in this car all the time, especially on a hot day. It just makes such a huge difference, that silver coating. So stay tuned for that one. We'll do a redo of that test. Back to the ADAS. Look, I've not used autopilot or Autosteer too much anymore. I mean, I probably could. I'll show you now. It's not too bad on sort of straight roads like this. Anytime it's sort of a curve, I am very careful and just hang onto the wheel. Having said that, though, I do take care anyway in the Tesla. I wouldn't just have my hands free regardless of what car I drive. You might see the speedo too. It's going at 60, and the Waze GPS is 3 kilometers an hour less calibrated. So I mean, it's probably calibrated a bit slower on this car to help you with speed cameras, so you don't get a ticket. So you're not driving as fast as you think you are. Okay, we'll beat this yellow. Acceleration is good enough in this car to do that, which I quite like. Gotten quite used to the indicators, honestly. Doesn't bother me anymore. I still pinch myself at the value of this car, honestly. You can see the interior is lovely. It's very well put together, fitted beautifully. The leather seats and the leather steering makes it a very comfortable ride. Very nice to grip, very nice to sit on. And look, the audio system's probably one gripe. It's not terrible, but I mean, having experienced Tesla's audio for so long, you kind of get used to it and spoilt by it, but it's okay. Like, it's a lot better than a lot of other EVs I've driven. This Dyne audio system, which I've not heard of before, but it's not too bad. What else can I tell you? So we've done charging, we talked about range a bit, and upcoming tests. We'll do a bit more driving as school begins, start to ferry the kids around a bit more. No complaints so far from them, from the passengers. They're enjoying it. Enough USB ports and room and storage to keep them happy. Back seats are very comfy. Storage is good as well. No spare tire, that's okay. But lots of room to put suitcases in and shopping. And the front's actually pretty good. Like, the front bonnet area is quite usable. Some EVs don't have a good enough frunk, but this car's not too bad. It's pretty good. And I think a lot of the weight of this car too, I know it's heavier than, say, the Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive. But I've got like a paint thickness pen, which I got from Amazon, and that's magnetic based. And you can tell which bits are magnetic now, obviously, because I put that pen on there to gauge the thickness of the paint, and some bits don't stick in the Tesla because it's plastic. Like, for example, the door panels, the bonnet, sorry. So that's probably contributing to the lighter weight in the Tesla Model 3. Whereas this car, pretty much all panels are of metal or some sort of alloy, which is magnetic. So that's probably contributing to the weight. And obviously this car has got a bigger battery as well, 82 kilowatt hour battery as opposed to 60 kilowatt hour battery in the Tesla Model 3. So you do get a bigger range, 82 kilowatt hours, with a real-world range hopefully of around 500, whereas Tesla Model 3 is more like 400. And having a lithium iron phosphate battery in this car, LFP, you can charge this quite often to 100% quite safely, as you can in the Model 3 as well, of course. So you get full value for money. You can charge this up to 100, as opposed to equivalent cars, usually of this size battery, like 80 kilowatt hour battery. Not many cars have an LFP battery of this size. Usually if it's an 80 kilowatt hour battery, what they call long range in most cars, it would be more like NCA NMC battery, which is something you can't charge to 100% too often. They recommend, most manufacturers recommend 80% daily and then 100% if you're going on a road trip. Yeah, so far so good, guys and girls. At the 1 month mark, still very happy with this vehicle. There's a 3-month service in a couple of months. I might do a video then to document my 3-month experience. But I just thought I'd go for a drive with you this morning on the way to work in this BYD Seal Premium, which is kind of the mid-spec model and unofficially probably the most popular variant of the three in Australia, dynamic, premium and performance. So you'd hope between the three of them this would probably retain its relative resale value the best. As we know, popular cars resell the best in this country and probably worldwide as well. Just by sheer logic, people want this car more than the others, so it'll be a better resale. Yeah, but totally enjoying it. It's not perfect. There are some limitations, of course. Missing the fact that autopilot's not as good, sound system's not as good. Software's probably a bit clunkier than the Tesla infotainment system, but having said that, I'm enjoying the bigger battery, more range, of course, more comfortable, definitely cooler interior, and a more, I guess, more gentler ride in terms of suspension. So those things certainly do help offset the limitations I talked about earlier as well. Alrighty, well that's it from me. And one more thing too, as a prelude to my charging video, I've been able to use this car with both the Tesla Gen 3 wall connector with scheduled charging and also the Wallbox Pulsar Max as well, with that scheduled charging and also solar charging too. So all good from that front. Maximum I've been able to get is 6.3 kilowatts. Even though the charger's giving 7, it's 6.3 into the car, so there must be some losses somewhere. So that's a small note as a preview to my home charging video. Okay everyone, thanks so much for watching. That's my 1 month review of the BYD Seal Premium. Thanks so much. Keep producing these videos to give you the confidence that the BYD Seal is a safe alternative to the Tesla Model Y, Model 3 in Australia. And of course, stay tuned for the 3-month review when I take it for its first baby service, which is complimentary, by the way, here in Australia. All right, stay safe, everyone. And as always, happy charging.